you're going to hear today, you won't find in any books, any Forex training or anything like it. So they purely my own innovations, and that's what it's working for me, and that's what I'm using. But as I said, for a lot of you could be a huge surprise because I don't look the charts, I don't read the candles or anything like it. And when I get the signals, I don't take the signals right at that moment. I have to check first how that corresponds with sort of my ideas, which if I could share the screen, I show you what I'm doing, because I like to work on the numbers, not on the graphs, because graphs only give me one specific pair, when I like to see sort of tendency of the specific currency against any other currencies. And so can I share the screen?
Yeah, I'll give you rights to share screen.
All right. Can you see my screen there? So yep. what you hear, let's say this is the last week. Okay, this is the last week of what I'm doing just before the end of the session, the end of 24 hours, and just at the beginning. So let's say at my time, it's 9 a.m., which the new spreadsheet is coming up. So I'm taking the screenshot of the MetaTrader 4, and I'm simply putting what was the lowest on the start of the day, what was the high, what was the sort of sell and buy on the start of the day, what was on the finish of the day, and I've got every single day. And I also mark for myself if that specific pair, it was going down, which is yellow color, and if it's going up, it was a green color. And the one that sort of stays stagnant, I simply don't put any color. All right, and I've got that done.
1 second, Peter. Before you go on, I just want to check with everyone in the room, and you can write in the chats. When Peter says this is the lowest of the day and the highest of the day for the different pairs and all that kind of stuff, do you understand what he means? Like how he just, like what he's saying here and where you can get this for yourself from, right? Because we all have access to this on the MetaTrader 4 home screen. When you go to the quotes page, it shows you all the pairs that you've added, and it shows you all the highs and lows, right? So all this is Peter looking at the screen on his phone, right? He's not downloading some special numbers from some special site or anything. It's just literally, it's correct. He's on your phone and he's just typing it, okay?
Yeah, so I'm doing some manual labor, but it's working for me, so I don't mind spending a couple of hours doing that, because probably that's what it takes me about to. So if I don't have my personal spreadsheet, that I don't know where it is, I won't take any trades. I have to have that done before I take any trades. And also what I'm doing personally, I also like to see how that specific currency goes against other currencies, not just in one pair. So if I can find it now. You see, I've got, like, for example, so I've got all the pairs combined, like US pairs. So anything that goes with the US, I've got it here. So I know if the US was going up or if the US was going down. Canadian pairs, again, I know against every currency if that was going up or if that was going down. And because that gives me the indication if that specific currency, let's say on the previous day or previous 2-3 days, was going up or down, and so on. And also, as you see, so that's what you've got on the MetaTrader. If you've got the advanced setting, then you don't have to look for it. You simply got it there straight away. Like it will always show you the lowest on the day and the highest on the day. At any given moment, if you look MetaTrader 4 on the advanced setting, that's what you're going to see. You will see the lowest. You will see the current, obviously. What is the current price on the specific pair? But you will also see underneath the lowest and the highest. So it's nothing wrong with the signals. The signals are pretty good, actually. The only thing sometimes, I don't know why they're calling it that specific moment. So when I get the signal, I don't trade straight away on that signal. I'm looking first. So forget about the others because that would be too confusing. But what I'm looking most of all, where that starting point is against the lowest and the highest point for the specific day, which I have got that on MetaTrader. I don't have to look for it. And you've got that as well. And if the trade is, for example, called that pair supposed to be to buy, I'm looking how far that specific moment is from the bottom, from the lowest price on the day. If it's too far from the lowest price of the day, I won't take it. I might take the trade later on when my position of the stop loss and TP would be completely different. So I don't sort of copy and paste TPs and stop losses. I said that by myself because I also taking a higher risk. So that's why I would encourage you, if you want to complement that, make sure that you do for a few days on the simply demo accounts. Don't go straight away, jump on the accounts and so on, and see and get practice of it and see how you go. My TP, so I'm simply taking, I'm looking for in this strategy, you will also meet TP1s, TP2s, and sometimes, they hit all the targets. I don't get that because my TP, it's only 10 pips. I don't go for 20 pips. I don't go for 30, 50 at the time. I'm going for 10 pips at the time. But I might go on the same trade number of times on the day. So I still make like 30, 40 pips sometimes on the same pair. But I don't go in the straight lines for TP2s or TP1s and so on. I go minus 50. So that's why I'm taking higher risk because I'm going minus 50 pips plus 10 pips. So, and what I'm looking for, because after all, we all know that the frequency changing on the day, it's not that it's going only up or it's going only down. It's sort of jumping up and down most of the time. So the changes are during the day. That's why I don't care when the trading came in, the signal came in, because I'm looking where it's standing between the lowest and the highest. And sometimes I'm winning because I actually go on the trade when the trade is in the minus. And because I'm putting my stop loss 50 pips, then I'm still covered when they already hit the stop loss. And I don't need to get to 2P as long that will be the money will be moving towards the direction that they predicted, that let's say that would be up or down. So in the shift, it could be still in minus, and I already won because I went on the trade, for example, when it was minus 30. Anybody getting that? Any questions so far? Because I know I know what I'm talking about, but I want to make sure that everybody knows what I'm talking about.
I was just going to say, so Peter showed this to me on Friday, and it took me a while to understand what he's saying, right? So I do understand what he's saying now, but I want to check in with the room. Do you guys understand what he's saying? Give a 1 if yes, give a 0 if you don't. And just be honest, it's fine. Like, we want you to understand.
Yeah, so, no, that's what we're here for, to make sure that everybody understands.
That's good. So we stop there to get some confirmation from the room. Okay. So I'm just going to let Peter carry on explaining it. And then we're going to show some examples. Okay. And like Peter says, he doesn't use charts and graphs and candles and all that stuff. Like, basically, he doesn't use the chart at all. But this is the exact same, even if you thought of it as a chart, right? When you think of your highs, right? Your highs in a day, your lows in a day, and then the price is just in between that, right? And then you're just working out. If you look at the current price and you think about 50 pips in the stop loss direction, right? If that is going above the high or below the low, whichever way the stop loss is, then he would take it. If it isn't, he wouldn't. Plus, he'd look at the trend and little things like that. But after he explains it like this, I'm going to show you on my screen with some examples and with some charts. And once you start getting it from that level, then I think you can dive into it without using a chart like Peter is at the stage right now. Because Peter's also very good at counting pips. And I don't know how he counts pips without any effort. He just knows, like, right, 30 pips, that's the price now. We need the app, right, to tell us what the pips were, but he just works it out in his head quickly.
Yeah, no, that's something that I can't teach you. You have to simply practice and learn that.
He literally
you have to know how to
crazy.
how to add pips and how to take pips. So let's say, like for example, let's say in here, I also looking to make sure that my stop loss. So let's say that was let's say they called Australian dollar to US dollar and they told me to, for example, to buy it. The signal comes to buy it. Okay, I would look where I'm standing. So let's say the lowest was 77,242, highest was 78,007. If that would be close to the high figure, so let's say within 20, 30 pips to the high figure, I wouldn't take it. And if they would tell me to go up, because that's mean to get my target, I would have to go above already the highest price of the day. Plus, I wouldn't be able to cover my bottom end because I want to make sure that my 50 pips not only will reach the lowest or the highest, depends if I'm buying or selling. I don't want to just reach the highest or the lowest. I want to go below or above at least 20 pips to simply cover myself that even if the trend will be, let's say, going down, I still covered not only to the lowest point of the day, but I'm also covered for another 20 pips minimum. So so simply, if the signal comes and telling me to buy, I want to be in the position when I'm taking it that I can cover the bottom end plus minimum 20 pips. And everybody got that? If the signal comes to sell, I want to make sure that I can cover my top end plus at least 20 pips with my 50. So I'm risking 50 to gain 10. That's why I'm doing much more trades on the day than normally, because simply I might go on the same pair number of times. Like as you've seen on my result, that sometimes I go on the same pair number of times. But I'm going on the pair because let's say I've won. And then the pair went, let's say the signal was to buy. And that pair went sort of closer to the bottom end. I might go on it again. When according to Schiff, it's in minus. And if it's sort of going towards the direction, so even on the Schiff, it can be still in minus, but I already won because it moved backwards, sort of towards the starting point, 10 pips, and I've won. So my mostly strategy is simply, I'm risking 50 pips to gain 10, to make it as simple as possible. Because yes, I'm considering some other factors before I make the trade, but that's the major one. I only go minus 50 plus 10, and I have to be able to cover my lowest point or my highest point. Depends if I'm doing the buy or if I'm doing the sell. So I have to be above the highest if I'm going to sell, and I have to be above the highest price on the day, at least 20 pips, or I have to be below the lowest price on the day when I'm doing a buy, at least 20 pips. And that's if we're talking the standard currencies. Because gold, I wouldn't touch it if I couldn't risk 150 pips, because gold moving too quick. And simply just covering here with 20, 30, 50 pips as in signals, that's what usually it is. They usually go only up to minus 50 pips. And even last week, if they would put a bigger stop loss, they would hit every target. But because they put the stop loss too little, they got stop loss, and then it was the shift in the opposite direction. So if they would be still in the game, they would hit every single target. And that's how that's the main reason why I'm winning, because my stop loss and my TPs are different. So I'm interested, when I get the signal, I'm interested on the pair. That's what I'm looking for. Which pair, and if that's supposed to go down or up. So that's what I'm interested in, the signal. And I'm not worried about the TPs or stop and loss, because I'm setting them by myself. But my main concern is simply, why should I look which pair to play, which I've got the signal for it. But when I get the signal, I'm looking where is in the position between the lowest and the highest on the day.
So basically,
so I've got that already from the signal. I've got the direction if I should be buying specific pair or if I should be selling specific pair. But I will take the trade according to the signal that I'm buying or selling, but I have to be able to use my strategy that I have to. If they tell me to buy, I will only buy when the current price is within the range of the lowest price, that I can cover with my 50 pips, the lowest price of the day, plus extra at least 20 pips. Or if they're telling me to sell it, I have to be close enough when I take the trade to my top price of the day, because I want to cover that plus additional at least 20 pips. And that's my main strategy. Very simple when you get used to it, but you have to practice. You have to know how to add pips and how to take the pips out. So that's one thing that, that you have to practice on that you see, like I know, for example, you see the pips shift. So I know which pair started and finished the day, what sort of difference in the pips. And usually you will find out that most pairs, movement on the pairs, like from between the lowest, like if you would be looking lowest and the highest price, like for example, Australian dollar on Friday finish, let's say within 76.5 pips. Okay, because the highest price was 78.007, 77.242. So that's 76.5 pips. Because usually the pairs move around 100 pips on the day. That's what the typical scenario is. Usually some will go a little bit over 100 pips, some will go below 100 pips, but average is around 100 pips. So I don't want to take the trade when I'm close to here and they're telling me to buy, because I will be too far from my bottom. And if I get the tendency that actually it will shift to the going opposite direction that they predicted, then you hit the stop loss, as simple as that. But if you wait this way, but at the same time, don't take it wrong. You will make more trades, you will win more trades, but also you're having a higher risk because you have to cover yourself with more pips. So you have to be prepared for it. As well, you're never going to hit like all targets. So if somebody playing that hit TP1, they're moving to TP2 and so on, good luck with it. You will get 1 in 10. But you will lose another 9. But this way, I can get on the same pair number of times, because I can click it. I see, okay, this pair was played. Now move backwards or upwards. Now I'm ready to take the trade. But I will simply go minus 50 plus 10. That's what I'm doing. That's why, as you see on my records, you don't see like that I've 100 pips on the trade or something like that. You will see only around 10 pips. If we're talking normal pairs, you can see up to 30 pips on the gold. Because on the gold, like minus 150 plus 30.
So obviously, once you get 10 pips in profit, or maybe even a bit more, you can move your stop loss to break even, and then at least you're at no risk, right? And then you can just carry on.
There's always pairs to place. So I don't do that. I simply go 10, stop, and then I will see if I'm supposed to go back on that pair.
Okay.
If it go in the opposite direction and it would get to minus, I'm not trying to get TP1s, TP2s, and all of that. I always go just for 10 pips. I will take the same pair a number of times. If they say, for example, it will. So let's say the starting point, for argument's sake, doesn't matter which pair. Let's say for argument's sake, the starting point was 130. Let's say equal that I took the trade to sell it. Because with 130, with my 50 pips, I would be able to cover. So I'm right in the middle. I could be covered that even if I sell it, I can still go above the top ones. If I buying, I can still go above that. So it depends what the signals told me. So I would go with 10 pips. And let's say then, and it was, let's say the signal was buying. So I would get it on 130, 10. Okay. So I didn't go to the top, but I got my 10 pips. But then let's say the pair move closer to this end. So let's say it went to 129.90. I might go back on the same pair. But then even didn't reach the TP2 or TP1, but I already won because it simply goes back to the starting point. So on the shift, it would be showing 0, but I would already won because that covered my 10 pips.
So the reason this works for you is because you're confident that you're not going to hit stop loss.
That's correct. That's what I'm trying to avoid it, that I'm not hitting the stop loss because I'm moving that stop loss. But most of all, guys, if you don't get the mindset right and you won't convince yourself and believe that you can win, don't even start trading. Because you're never going to make it, because no matter what you do, you will make the wrong choice. And there is nothing, it's 100% bulletproof. On the 19 days, that, so let's say it's not just quite month. The month for me, calendar month for me, it will finish on Wednesday. But let's say in that time, I probably lost about 7 trades. But I've won like over 100. I've won like about 150 trades.
Wow. Very well done.
So using simply this strategy that I want to cover my stop loss and I'm not greedy, I'm not going for the huge wins. That's the whole difference. But I'm using the same signal as you are because those signals are good signals. The only thing sometimes when they come in that specific moment, I'm sort of wondering, it might be the right choose to buy or to sell, but it's a wrong time in the specific time of the day to take it. So I won't take it at that moment. I might take it an hour later, 2 hours later, or something like that, when the shift is in the right opposite, so I can cover my top or bottom. Simple as that. So but I will take the same trade, exactly the same trade at different time.
There are a couple of questions here. Same question you asked last time. If we at the start of your day, right? So let's say, the very start of your day, there's minimum data, right? To know what's your highest and lowest. Well, what do you do then?
Did you notice ever signal right on the beginning of the day?
Depends what time of the day what time of the day are we talking? Because you're in Australia.
Not on a Sunday in the US because the market just opened like 30 minutes ago. But what I meant with this question is there could be. I don't think typically they come at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but you will basically at 5 p.m. for most brokers, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time comes, and then the highest and the lowest will always be the same because the day has just started. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm doing. Yeah. I'm doing my spread. As you see, I've got the starting on the day. So that's not. So let's say Australian time, it's 9 a.m., which you're quite right. It's a 5 Eastern. So I've got what it started on that day and what it finished. So let's say if I would be doing Friday, I would be obviously looking my data from 11th.
Right. Okay. You look at the previous day. I got you. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So I always got. So I always got my starting
previous 24 hours
and my finish and my average. Okay.
Yeah, you need to look 24 hours. Yeah.
And simply, if I would get the signal right at the beginning of the day, so let's say we are here. So that's the starting of the day. The spreadsheet been changed. And I got the signal right now here. If it would be buy, I would simply go 50 pips below the starting point. If that would be the signal, it would be to sell it. I would go 50 pips above the starting point. Did you get that? So simply, even doesn't matter when the signal comes, you always got the data. Because the signal, any pair never going to stay at the same level as the starting point. They would move it one way or the other.
So Peter,
yeah, I think I need an example when you say go above and go below by 50. I need to see an example.
Peter, is
like for example, let's say that this is so go on the averages. So let's say it's 77242, okay, and the signal coming and it's to buy, okay. Stop loss automatically would be set up to 76742 because that would be minus 50 pips.
The highest they have is typically 50. Yes, yeah.
So I would go 50 pips below this figure. If that's starting day, let's say that's when the signal comes. That let's say I'm sitting on this, the current price is let's say this. So let's say the current price is 77242, and I got the signal to buy. So I will take 50 pips out of that, which would be 76,742. And my TP, it would be 77,342. I would probably 77,35 because 0.7 is a brokerage. So with my 10 pips, I usually go 10.7. To have clear profit 10 pips.
Spread, yeah.
But that's so that's extra because you've got 0.7 of a pip, the cost of the broker.
Peter, is it fair to say that when you look at the price, you want to see over the previous 24 hours, what's been the highest and the low, or you just simply look at your MetaTrader 4, you look at the numbers given?
Yeah, like I'm looking also that specific currency was tendency going up or tendency going down, because I also believe that anything goes up, it has to go down and vice versa. So I'm actually looking what was tendency over a few days. Like you see, I've got it and I'm sort of compounding that information to every single currency that I'm sort of grouping. So for example, on Friday, I know that US dollar won with every single currency except Canadian. All right. Canadian won with every single currency. So if I would get pair, the signal, let's say, doesn't matter which one, but that Canadian supposed to be going up. So it could be, let's say, US, Canada, it would be that to sell. Australian Canada, it would be to sell. Canadian to Swiss franc, it would be to buy. Canadian to Japan, it would be to buy, and so on. So simply that the Canadian side is on the winning and I get the signal, I would be very happy with that signal because that's the current trend against all the currencies. So if they give me the signal to buy or sell, that simply Canadian dollar would be winning, I would be happy with that signal. But at the same time, I would still look my lowest and highest. And I want to make sure that whenever I take the trade, if I'm buying, I want to be below the lowest price on the day, or I want to be above the highest price of the day if I'm selling. But if they, for example...
Like two confluences that way, like you both look at the trend and the... Yeah.
But also I'm looking, because usually I've noticed that trend change every 3 days. Like if you would look, for example, Friday, that's what it was. But if you would look Thursday, Wednesday, and Tuesday, you will see that actually US dollar and Canadian dollar was going down against the other currencies. That's why I don't like to look just the graph, because on the graph, you've got just one specific pair. You're looking just against one the other. When I'm sort of looking on the whole spectrum, how it was acting against the other currencies as well, because then I've got the full picture. Like, for example, like you see, some of the pairs don't have any color. Okay. So if I would get the signal on one of those that I didn't put any color, that they simply been sort of like sitting in the same spot, I wouldn't take it. Doesn't matter where it would be. I wouldn't take it because it's sort of, to me, it would be too much of a risk, because I don't have any indication if that specific pair is supposed to be going up or down. So I'm only looking for the signal that corresponds. So they at the right spot of the day that I can cover, but at the same time, I'm sort of looking also the tendency on the specific market, like against the currency that is coming. But the main thing is...
What do you consider as a significant move? If we look, for example...
so it has to be at least, like you see this one here?
Yeah.
Australian dollar to Japan, I don't have any color. Why? Because the whole movement between the lowest and the highest, like between starting the day and finish the day, it was only 1.1 pip.
Yeah.
So it was practically no movement. It was simply going up and down, but started the day and finished the day pretty much on the same. Like you see here, another one, New Zealand to CHF, the whole movement on the whole day between the starting point and finishing point, it was only 2.5. So I don't know what that pair are going to do. It might as well go 100 pips down, or might go as well 100 pips up. And if I hit the wrong direction, even if I cover 50, I still might be at the wrong spot. That's why I still, you're going to make a mistake now and then. It's no question about it. After all, I've lost few.
Yeah. By the way,
trades.
I think what would help everyone maybe as well to see it on a chart view. So I know, Peter, you don't like charts, but I personally was like, I can see the numbers, but I'm so used to charts. So I'm just going to show the exact thing of what Peter means in a visual sense. All right. And Peter,
by all means, go for it.
You can just confirm.
You know how to play with this. I don't.
Yeah, so. you can confirm that what I'm showing visually is what you mean via numbers. Like, I know you said you don't look at the charts, but they are.
But on the graph, you can only see one pair. That's why I'm not using the graph, because on the graph, you can see only one pair. The way I'm doing, I can see the whole